Something's happening, and I want you to think about it. Among all the hysteria around mystery drones and Iran supposedly plotting assassination attempts against Donald Trump, this long press conference by Trump really broke the deafening silence we've seen so far from the administration, but there's a few standout moments that I think signal more than what the media is telling you, and it started with Trump shutting down this ridiculous question by a reporter.
Are you entertaining the idea of preemptive strikes against Iran's nuclear facilities?
Against who?
Against Iran's nuclear
Well, I
facilities?
can't tell you that.
Would you?
I mean, it's a wonderful question, but how can am I going to do preemptive strikes? Why would I say that? Can you imagine if I said yes or no? You'd say, that was strange that he answered that way. Am I going to do preemptive strikes on Iran? Is that a serious question? How could I answer a question like that? Say it.
Would you be in support of Israeli strikes on Iran's nuclear
How could I
facilities?
tell you a thing like that now? It's just so you don't talk about that before something may or may not happen. You know, just
Well,
I don't want
Mr. President,
I don't want to insult you. I just think it's just not something that I would ever answer having to do with there or any other place in the world.
Before I even begin, what a refreshing sight to just see a president stand in front of the press and take open questions. And here's why I say that. The stranger times you live in, the more that people crave a sense of certainty and security. That's what had been sorely missing from the Biden presidency and then the Kamala Harris candidacy, and this year has been one of the most painfully uncertain times that the American people have lived through, with multiple assassination attempts against a former president, now current president, threats of a third world war, and now hundreds of inexplicable drone sightings in major city centers in the country. By the way, we've got our eyes where the mainstream media refuses to look, so be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to never miss out. Now, in particular, as it regards this absurd question by the reporter, we've also been hearing disturbing rumors repeated by the mainstream media that Iran is supposedly readying its proxies for another assassination attempt against Donald Trump. The DOJ charged a man named Farhad Shakiri, who had already spent 14 years in prison in the US on robbery charges, for plotting to end Trump's life before the election. But while Iran has firmly rejected such an accusation, tensions with the Middle Eastern nation tend to heat up when Donald Trump is in power. And at the center of that is one thing above all else, which is Iran's nuclear ambitions. So the idea that he would be so much as even hinting at what he would do in office to rein that in would be dangerously counterproductive. But there's also other things that Americans deserve a lot more certainty over, which is the drone sightings that still haven't been explained weeks in. On that, Trump seemed to be more upfront with the issue despite being outside of office and not having full knowledge of what's really going on.
Can you comment on the drones that are flying around New Jersey ports? It seems like the American people have a big disconnect.
The government knows what is happening. Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. I can't imagine it's the enemy, because if it was the enemy, they'd blast it out. Even if they were late, they'd blast it. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people. And they should, because the people are really, I mean, they happen to be over Bedminster.
Will you shoot them down?
They're very close to Bedminster. I think maybe I won't spend the weekend in Bedminster. I've decided to cancel my trip.
Have you received an intelligence briefing on the drones?
I don't want to comment on that.
This one has captured the headlines like few things in the last month. What's even more mind-boggling is how most government agencies are pretending to not know what they are, as the Department of Defense finally released a joint statement saying, in part, quote, FBI has received tips of more than 5,000 reported drone sightings in the last few weeks, with approximately 100 leads generated, and the federal government is supporting state and local officials in investigating these reports. I don't know about you, but this is frustratingly evasive and incomplete response that does nothing to answer people's concerns. And here's why. Homeland Security itself came out and said the mysterious drones flying over New Jersey are not detectable by helicopter radars or radio. There is no hobbyist or commercial drone that has such military-grade stealth technology to be able to avoid radar like this. And the fact that we're seeing such a nonchalant attitude from these agencies sounds crazy and only adds to the eerie sense of uncertainty. And they're not even concentrated on one area of the country, because these sightings have been reported all the way from New Jersey to Texas, near military sites, and in all of this confusion, people look to the president for answers, and what did Joe Biden say?
Nothing nefarious, apparently. But they're checking it all out. I think it's just one
There's a lot of drones authorized up there. I think one started and they all got it. Everybody's wanting to get in the deal. But we're following it closely. So far, no sense of danger.
You tell me if that made any sense. Nothing nefarious, apparently. What does that even mean?
What the hell is even that?
You either know where there's hundreds of drones coming from and belong to, or you don't. And if you don't, that's a national security lapse and a crisis of incredible proportion if a foreign nation's drones just came waltzing inside the US border crossing oceans. If we can detect habitable planets many light years away, we can detect what's flying a few kilometers above the sky. It's statements like this that ask more questions than they answer, and it's incredible that Donald Trump, despite being out of office, is sounding more concrete than the administration itself. If you notice, Trump has also declined to answer the question of whether he's been briefed regarding these sightings. Given he's president-elect, perhaps he knows what he can't say and would rather just have the US government take people into confidence instead. But it certainly doesn't help when this is the kind of non-answers that we get, even from people as high up as Homeland Security Officer Alejandro Mayorkas.
There's no question that people are seeing drones, and I want to assure the American public that we in the federal government have deployed additional resources, personnel, technology to assist the New Jersey State Police in addressing the drone sightings. Some of those drone sightings are, in fact, drones. Some are manned aircraft that are commonly mistaken for drones, and we do see duplicative reporting. But there's no question that drones are being sighted. Let me set the record straight here, George. There are thousands of drones flown every day in the United States. Recreational drones, commercial drones. That is the reality. And in September of 2023, the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, changed the rules so that drones could fly at night. And that may be one of the reasons why now people are seeing more drones than they did before, especially from dawn to dusk.
The most damaging thing about this is that this curious silence and refusal to answer only breeds more unproven theories and hysteria as a result, especially when news came out in the last month that the Pentagon has failed its 7th audit in a row and unable to account for over $800 billion in this year alone. There are theories floating around that these drones may be part of some clandestine project that the government is scrambling to secure. In another hazard, people are even aiming lasers at these drones as well as commercial aircraft in the sky to try and get reaction, and it's resulting in a much bigger mess simply because of the uncertainty in the official narrative. And while Donald Trump has officially called on the government to shoot down those drones if it doesn't know where they're from, we're seeing an even slower response from the Biden administration as when a mysterious alleged Chinese spy balloon hovered over the United States for days in early last year before being shot down. The bottom line is that people desperately want answers and they're not getting them. And this failure of messaging will likely get yet another damaging legacy of the Biden presidency, but let me know in the comments what you think and share this video with people that need to see it. But gotta say, I find it incredible that in these uncertain times, people can't even look to their own representatives in search of some concrete answers and a sense of security.